Okay, we're back at Paris, California. The place here is Starklight Cycle. It's Bob Stark. And it's sort of a place I've been working on for a long time. Been planning this just about my whole life. I've been doing Indian cycles for about 50 years now. Started when I was 10 years old doing them.
Supposed to say now. Yes, she breaks things, so I break things too. And like it or not, this is good. Like it or not, this is good. This is good. When I was 17 and she was 21, outside there was a plague, inside was only fun. She blacked out all the windows, then she painted in the sun, and we made movies.
On our way back from California, Bedini was reading a 1929 rider's manual that described the then new Scout as guaranteed reliable and breakdown proof. I thought, not only do they not make them like they used to, but they don't write about them like they used to either. Breakdown proof.
Here is Columbia, Pennsylvania, where I built my first motor dome in Columbia, Pennsylvania. And I started to build a thing out of two big old water tanks. I made a deal with the water company to take their tanks down for the wood. And then I went home and drug it across the Columbia and rebuilt it. That's how I learned, build my own drum. Here's how it looked.
Okay, well, like I said, it is a 1927 Indian Scout. We have it mounted in a 1928 Indian 101 Scout frame. The frames were shortened a little bit, which makes it handle a little bit better on the wall. And the 101s were really popular for a while. They're probably about the best motorcycle made for trick riding because of the way they're balanced.
It was the best face it. It was dependable. You could let it sit for a month. Start it up, 2 kicks. I could bet my life on it. 2 kicks, one to prime and one to start go. Hey, this is a story I'll tell you. A guy said, Greer, you want to motorcycle? I said, yeah, what kind? He said, Indian 45. He said, it's up there in the barn in Maytown. I went up and looked at it, and the guy said, yeah, I'll sell it to you. The cylinders are off. I said, what do you want for it? He said, $40. He said, but I can't give you a title. He said, it was sold in Virginia. They didn't need it. You couldn't get a title, just a bill of sale those days. I said, I don't need it for what I want. We took it home, my brother and I, we overhauled the whole engine, re-oiled it, and checked the bearings, put it together. That was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. By 8 o'clock at night, we had it running perfect. And that was my first machine to use at the barrel. And then I ended up with 6 of them.
Was that was an Indian?
All Indians, all of them. That was my, I still owned it. Let's face it, they should have never gone out of business. You know, when I rode motorcycles, there were 2 kinds of riders, Harley-Davidson riders and Indian riders. And anybody that bought a Harley-Davidson liked to tinker. Anybody that liked to ride motorcycles and see what's going on rode Indians. You want to hear the truth? That's the way I look at it.
And it's too small. My name's Butch Bear. I'm 67 years old now. My dad moved into Springfield in 1933 to take over the dealership in the basement of the Indian factory. Of course, I was only 6 years old then. And from that next 10-year period, of course, I grew up in the basement of the factory. And of course, being the only kid in the neighborhood with a motorcycle, I think I probably taught 50 kids how to ride a motorcycle. And I'd teach them how to ride a motorcycle, and I'd let them ride it for 5 minutes if they'd put a nickel's worth of gas in it. Well, a nickel's worth of gas would take me a long way. I was 11 years old for my first hill climb. It was an exhibition ride, but I went professional when I was 14, and I got a 3rd place, 2 3rd places, and I won $14. I felt like a millionaire. Those are the good old days. I have a beautiful poster here, the remains of a poster from Ed Kretz. Ed Kretz won the 200-mile Class C National Championship up in Laconia when it was all dirt, the very first running of it. And it was 200 miles long. It took him over 4 hours to do it. And they called him the Iron Man. So he sent me that remains of that poster, and of course I had to frame it and put it up. I was very appreciative of that. Of course, I was only a young boy, and Ed showed up at the factory back in the mid-30s. And I had a little, my dad had just given me my first little toolbox, a little fishing tackle box. And I was in school, and Ed going through the box, and Dad was telling me about the toolbox, and Ed wrote on the toolbox, Butch, big yellow paint. And I've been called Butch ever since. But Ed has always been my hero. Of course, back in the 30s, he won I don't know how many national championships between Daytona and Laconia and, oh, so many of them. And he was always my hero.